in this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to build user interfaces using Jetpack Compose, and also using our Kotlin, obviously the famous, our some most famous language, that is Kotlin. Okay, so we're gonna learn how Jetpack Compose has revolutionized the way of how we build user interface. Okay, so to summarize, what we are gonna learn in this entire tutorial, not this tutorial because I will be doing a series of tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to just give you a brief introduction of Jetpack Compose. I'll be creating a simple application in Jetpack Compose, but in the series of lectures I will be teaching you how to handle user actions using Jetpack Compose, how to theme in Jetpack Compose, and how finally we'll be adding Jetpack Compose to our existing project. So let's not waste the time and let's go right on to it. Okay, the first question that comes to your mind obviously is, what is Jetpack Compose? In our previous lectures we have learned how to set data into our Android view hierarchy, and learned how to use different types of view for different purposes, right? So if you go out, if you just remember, in my previous lectures I created some simple applications like color activity, where I used XML layout just to represent the user interface, and which we used to have a separate layout for your user interface, right? A separate UI layout, we had to manually change each user interface item element to reach the desired outcome. Okay, so for example, my desired outcome for this particular view, text view, is I want to change the background color. So if I want to change the background color, how did I previously used to do? I used to get the reference of the view, then I manually used to call this like this method set background color, and like I used to set the color with the desired color I wanted, right? So this was the approach that we used to do, and this kind of approach of to user interface building is referred as a imperative approach. So all the approach that we used to do in our native Android application development in the previous tutorials were imperative approach. Okay, so now the revolution has come, and for creating the UI, and that's Jetpack Compose, and it has created another approach, another alternative approach for creating the UI, which is a declarative approach. Okay, and what is this declarative approach? The declarative approach is an approach in which we would need to describe the final state that we want our user interface to reach, and internally the required invocations would be performed. Okay, so this means, okay, to summarize, is like if you like for example, let's take the example of the text view. So if you want to, instead of this doing it manually, I want to do it declaratively, is I create the state I instead of the attributes. Like we used to have the attributes like text and text color, right? But we will be creating a object that will be holding the state that we want. Okay, so this is the concept that we are going to do. And okay, so I will be just giving you the example how we will be doing that. But before that, I will just give you the introduction of how to set up your first Jetpack Compose project. Okay, so if you are a beginner, the first step you should just go and create it from the template. The first thing that you have to do, compose an empty compose activity, create the empty compose activity from this template driven approach. So if you use this template driven approach, the advantage of using this is like you're gonna, because you are a beginner, so you're gonna Android Studio is already gonna import every necessary libraries, like all these nice necessary libraries that your compose needs, right? And all the testing libraries for compose, The another thing is your compose kotlin compiler extension version. Just keep in note that you just use the latest version, kotlin compiler extension version, otherwise you will have some errors regarding the JVM target. Okay, because only the larger versions will support JVM targets 1.8 and higher. Okay, so and yeah, finally all this setup is okay. So when you're you have added the necessary setup, you will get a simple compose empty activity like this one. Okay, which you can also preview with this annotation preview. Okay, and finally you will also have all these themes. It will create a folder called theme, where you will have a auto generated colors, shape, themes and types. Okay, obviously you can add more colors, more shapes, more themes and more types, right? Typographies. So okay, so this is about the brief introduction of how do you set up your first project. So after that, okay, so I'm gonna create here now simple demonstration of our this declarative approach. Okay, so let me create a composable function. Obviously we have to annotate each and every composable functions with this annotation, composable annotation. And function, we are gonna create my text display. Okay, so here we have to create an object, my state, and your state will be like state for a text and state for a color. And be careful, like just import the not the Android graphics but Android X compose UI graphics. Okay, so this is the note, you have to take it. And now we will, our composable functions will be taking the input as a state, and obviously you will have the update, like you will pass the state to your compose UI element. And voila guys, so you have a very simple text view with which handles the text and color states itself. You know, it's pretty simple. Like, just imagine the difference between all this code, all these boilerplate codes that you have to do. It's pretty much simplified in this compose function in a very simple manner, you know. And this is a declarative approach. This is another completely new approach, new way of creating the user interface. Okay, so this is our understanding. So and another interesting note to take is like the mechanism that allows Jetpack Compose to redraw the UI, you know, for any changes that occurs, for any change that you occurs, you know, any change you occurs, you pass the new state, you will redraw the UI, you will redraw this text, you know, with the new state. And this process is called recomposition, from where compose has its name. Okay, so this is this process is recomposition. Okay, just take in note, it's recomposition of everything, every text, of every view UI item with the new state, okay, values, you know. So this is called recomposition. And obviously compose also has its name after that, so because of this process of recomposition. And yes, okay, so this is the declarative approach. Okay, I think you guys, it's pretty clear for you guys for the moment. And so okay, now I will be giving you some examples of creating a new screen. Okay, so whenever you create the, so this is a empty canvas, you know, just imagine this is a, like it's an empty canvas, because we have to draw a new screen in compose. So we have, actually there are two choices, which is a row or a column functions to arrange elements, the UI elements that you're going to have. So for vertical arrangements you are going to use a column, whereas for horizontal arrangement you are going to use the rows, right? So let me create another example. I'm gonna create my screen. So here I'm gonna create the elements arranged in a vertical column, where I'm gonna add a text, static text. I'm gonna add a text field, my text field. Okay, so you're gonna have this value change doing nothing, and you're gonna have a button which is on click does. I'm just passing empty. I'm just giving an example here. I'm just passing an empty, just like on click is gonna do nothing. Icon, with a painter, that's a painter resource. I'm passing I will be passing a drawable dot some electric car, or and the content descriptions I can pass string resource r dot string dot content description. Okay, and what else? Yeah, so I have this added three items arranged vertically in order, right? So let me just save it, and we will be having, let me just also demonstrate it, preview it in my my preview screen. So let's render the issue, like render. Yeah, you see you have these items, UI items arranged vertically in a order, right? So first was my like your text view to show a simple text label. The second was the text field, which will show the input field, that's pre-filled with the my text field. And on value change, lambda will pick up any text that the user inserts, right? Right, and what else, like the button will show a button here, you see, and you have finally the icon to display the particular icon from the drawable or map folders that you have, and with the content description. Okay, so this was a pretty simple simple composable functions, like my screen. Okay, and what if you want to have a list of items? So you know how can you do that? So it's pretty simple in Compose. If you want to have a list of items, is let me just create my list, where items, my items is a list of a string. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Just add your column, and your my items, for each you can just loop it to item and pass the you create the UI item called text view, passing the text as a item. Okay, okay, so this is a pretty simple concept of creating a list of like a list of UI items of similar pattern, because here I have just the text, you know. And what if you want to, the number of items is unknown to you? So that means like you can have any number of items, like which can be larger enough to require scrolling, you know, because you know you cannot show every items. If the unknown elements is unknown, you cannot display everything at the same time, right? You need to require scrolling. So in this scenario we will run into some kind of performance issues, because the recomposition would go over both visible and non-visible items, you know, some visible items in the screen and some unknown non-visible visual items. In this scenario, how can we can solve it? We can solve it in this manner. Okay, is for my unknown list, for your unknown list, you can do it in a very easy manner. It's called lazy column. This approach, using this approach, you will just handle this performance issue. Then this okay, let's add some items. Sorry. Okay, let me add the first item will be a header. The second item, okay, we're gonna use a lazy item scope. No, it's items. Lazy item scope item you pass the my items. Then you have to obviously in this scope you just pass in the values in a loop. Okay, item. And yeah, finally also you can have another item which is a text is a footer. Okay, so you have unknown so for this kind of unknown list scenario which requires a scrolling, you can use lazy column. Okay, which wraps our collection with the items function. Okay, and similarly you can also, for this is the scenario for vertical scrolling, whereas you can also use lazy row for horizontal scrolling. Okay, lazy row, you see, for horizontal scrolling. Horizontal scrolling. Okay, so this is pretty okay for you guys, and let me see if I can my unknown list, if I can list of first, second, and third, and these are unknown items, you know. So let me just preview it, save it. Yeah, you see, you preview it with for second, third, and third, and this infinite like unknown items, and the footer, header and footer, right? So that what it is. And yes, this is what we did. So now what if, like, you know, you see the view here is doesn't looks good, you know. What if I want to create some kind of a add some space, you know, spacings between them? Like, we can pretty much add it in a very nice manner, which is by using a modifier. And may add the modifier of padding to top of 5 dp, bottom of 5 dp, and similarly we have a start of 10 dp and end of 10 dp, right? So you see we have auto like the padding is here. And okay, so this is what it is. And uh, okay, so yeah, like, let's create a simple, okay, finally I will give you one interesting concept, is like this set content view, you know. This set content view actually it's an extension function which is defined for the our, you see, component activity. Whenever you create a compose activity, you are going to extend this component activity, and which contains this extension function called set content. And this will set a composable function as the content of your activities. This will set a composable function, that is, for example, this one, as a content of your activity where you are here, right? So it is also true for okay, just keep on note that it's also true for the fragment. However, when you start a new project, and if you are a beginner, I just suggest and recommend to have a single activity. Obviously also for some projects, you know, if you are starting a new project, just focus on the activity, one single activity. Then make all your additional screens like, you know, like my For example, like my screen, screen 1, my screen 2, just focus on creating different screens in a separate composable functions. This is the scenario, okay, instead of using the fragment. Okay, so, but we are gonna discuss it in the upcoming lectures in detail. And yes, so that's it, guys, and I think everything is fine for the moment. Let me also run this my unknown list, a list of 1 2 and 3 and okay, just let me run the application, and we're gonna summarize each of our concept. Okay, you see, it's pretty we have this composable function being set in as a content in our activity. So now I would like to summarize every each and simple details that we have covered in this tutorial, creating a very simple compose screen. Okay, so let me create composable function, which will be like my first compose screen. Okay, so this compose screen will be consisting of a actually it's gonna take also your items. So items it's a list of items, then it will be consisting of a lazy column. Okay, it's gonna consist of a lazy column, has an item of column, and okay, let me also add the modifier padding of 16 dp, and your column will be consisting of a text which is like a string resource dot string dot enter number, which will have also a text field which our value will be empty for the moment. On value change, it's gonna do nothing. And we will also have actually keyboard options is like keyboard options. We have keyboard type is a keyboard type dot number. Okay, and what else we can add here is we can add also a button. We have a button which on click does nothing, and which will have text of inside the button to show the text will be string resource are the string dot click me, right? And yeah, finally we are okay with our items. Then you can create this items, okay, which is also see items. So items, okay, so we'll have item column modifier will be modifier that padding of 4 dp, and it will just contain the text is a item item, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let me just this is the first composable screen. I just want to preview it. First composable screen, but we need the items, right? Look, for the first time, for the first I will just pass this first, second, third, save, render. Okay, yeah, we can see that it's pretty, yeah, we are able to create a text and then a column with the text text field and a button, and another column with the with all this list of items that we have passed in my as this in this list, right? So yeah, it's pretty working. And yeah, so finally now we can pretty much create our let's just create our content here. So let me create the items 1 to 30. Let's map it to string resource string dot item format, and array it's like format arguments is like array of dollar $IT. And yeah, so we have these items. No, so now uh, first compose screen will be passing these items, right? And let me just run this application and see if it is pretty working. Yes, we have this. Yeah, you see it's scrolling till the end, and we have its items, right? Yeah, you see guys. Okay, so we are able to, and this is a number, as you can see. It's just taking the number as a keyboard type is a number, right? So it's pretty working fine. And guys, I think I have covered enough, and I have made you understand what is compose. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please do like, subscribe, and please also press the bell button so that you will get notification for the upcoming releases of my new videos. And thank you very much, and catch you up in the next lecture.